So you finally manage to save some money and invest it. Month after month, you keep grinding, setting aside a little bit every month. You're doing what everyone told you to do. And yet, you open that app, you look at that number, and it still feels like you're going nowhere. Sound familiar? Here's what nobody told you. It doesn't grow the way you think it does. It doesn't grow steadily. It doesn't grow proportionally. It doesn't even grow in a way that feels fair, at least not at first. What it actually does is nothing for a long time. And then, almost like a switch got flipped somewhere, it absolutely takes off. The people who quit are always the ones who bailed right before that switch flips. Not after a bad investment, not after a market crash, just because the waiting felt pointless. After spending a lot of time analyzing personal finance, I realized there are 3 specific milestones in your net worth where the rules of the game completely change. Where the math that was grinding against you suddenly starts working in your favor so aggressively that it almost feels unfair. Today, we're breaking down all 3, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where they are, and more importantly, how to get there without losing your mind in the process. Before we get to the milestones, I need to give you some context, because without it, you're going to hit the first rough stretch and think something's wrong with your plan. When your invested balance is small, your contributions are doing almost all the work. You're depositing $400, $500, maybe $600 a month, and your investment returns are contributing. Maybe 50 bucks, maybe 80. The number barely budges beyond what you put in. Your brain reads that as failure. It is not failure, it is physics. So in the beginning, you're building what I'd call the base. Every dollar you put in right now isn't just a dollar. It's a seed that has 20, 30, sometimes 40 years to multiply. The dangerous moment comes somewhere around month 8 or month 14, when you open the app, check the balance, and the voice in your head says, "What's the point? I could be spending this money on actual things right now." And the reason it's so persuasive is that we live in a world built around instant feedback. You post something, you get likes in minutes. You order food, it shows up in 30 minutes. You want a movie, it streams in 3 seconds. Compound interest operates on a completely different timeline, one that our phones and our culture have made us spectacularly impatient for. So once you know where the milestones are, the waiting stops feeling pointless. It starts feeling like strategy. The first milestone is $10,000, a number most finance influencers skip right past. Not saved, not sitting in a checking account as an emergency fund. Invested, deployed, actually in the market working for you. Below this number, compounding is essentially invisible. You invest $2,000 and the market returns 10%? Congratulations, you made $200. That is not even noticeable. Your brain doesn't register it as real income. And because of that, it doesn't motivate you to keep going. But at $10,000, a 10% return is $1,000. That is a car payment. That's a round-trip flight to Europe. That is money that your brain finally registers as real income generated by something other than your time. Most people never cross this milestone. Not because they can't afford to, but because they fall into what I'd call the waiting trap. Waiting until they earn more. Waiting until debt is gone. Waiting until life settles down. Waiting for the right time. The people who cross this milestone are not more disciplined than the people who don't. They are more automated. Set up an automatic transfer on payday. Even if it's $100 a month. Even if it's $50 a week. Treat it like rent. Non-negotiable, gone before you see it. And if your employer offers any kind of 401k match, that is not a retirement benefit. That is an immediate 50% or 100% return on your contribution, depending on your plan. There is no investment on earth that guarantees that kind of return. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner for over 60 years, reportedly said, "The first $100,000 is a bitch." Excuse the language, but the man was not wrong. He was being mathematical. Here's the data. Investing $500 a month at a 7% average annual return. It takes roughly 7 years and 9 months to hit $100,000. Of that $100,000, about $46,500 came from your contributions. The other $53,500, pure investment growth. Now here's where it gets wild. The next $100,000 takes only about 5 more years. Not 7 to 8 years, 5. The doubling timeline shrinks because the base is now big enough that compounding is doing more work than you are. Here's where things get dangerous, and I say this not to scare you. I say it because this is where most people quietly derail their entire financial future without ever realizing it. When you hit $100,000, it feels like you've arrived. And honestly, you should be proud. Most people never get here. But that pride triggers something sneaky. The sense that you've earned the right to upgrade your life a little. A nicer place, a newer car, dining out more, subscriptions you definitely needed, a vacation that costs $4,500 instead of $1,800. Each one feels justified. Each one feels like a reasonable reward. But stack them together and you've quietly raised your monthly spending by $900, maybe $1,200, money that was going into the highest leverage compounding window of your financial life. The people who navigate this correctly do something almost nobody talks about. When they hit $100,000, instead of spending more, they use the momentum to invest more. They bump their contribution by 1%, maybe 2%. They take the psychological win of crossing that milestone and convert it directly into acceleration. Here's something genuinely liberating about this milestone. Once you've crossed $100,000, you've built enough momentum that you can afford some flexibility. If life gets complicated, a medical expense, a career pivot, saving for a house, you can reduce or pause contributions for a few months and your portfolio keeps growing. Most people think financial freedom means having $1 million. And look, $1 million is incredible. But here's the truth. Financial freedom is not a net worth number. It's a ratio. It's the point where your investments generate enough income, through dividends, index fund growth, or systematic withdrawals, to cover your non-negotiable monthly expenses without touching your principal, without requiring your labor. And the way you calculate your personal version of this milestone is simpler than most people think. First, figure out your baseline monthly expenses. Not your total spending, your non-negotiables. Rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, transportation, minimum debt obligations. The number that, if you couldn't pay it, life falls apart. Multiply that monthly number by 12 to get your annual baseline, then divide by 0.04. So if your baseline monthly expenses are $3,000, that's $36,000 a year. Divide $36,000 by 0.04, and you need $900,000 invested to hit this milestone. Here's what most people miss. $1 million in 2026 doesn't feel the way $1 million felt in 1995. Inflation is real. $1 million is life-changing, but it's not never worry about anything ever again money. It's I have serious options money. The psychological shift at this milestone is profound. You stop asking whether investing works. You start asking which tools to use next. Angel investing in a friend's startup becomes possible. Real estate with strong cash flow becomes accessible. Multiple income streams stop being a hustle and start being a strategy. One thing to protect against once you're drawing down: sequence of returns risk. 2 bad market years right when you start withdrawing can bite you harder than the same returns later in retirement. The fix is simple. Keep 1 to 2 years of living expenses in cash or short-term bonds as a buffer. You don't sell growth assets in a downturn. You live off the buffer. The portfolio recovers. You stay the course. Before you go, I want to hear from you in the comments right now. Which milestone are you currently working toward? $10,000, $100,000, or passive income covering your basics? Drop your number in the comments below. You'd be surprised how motivating it is to see where everyone else is on this journey, and how far along some of you already are. And if this video helped you see your finances differently, if it gave you a framework that actually makes sense, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you in the next one.